विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामीति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवी गौरवाणी निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि भक्तवृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि भक्तवृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Pariparajika Charyosa Parasatu Sismit His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Pariparajika Charyosa Parasatu Sismit His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Namacharya Hari Rashtrapuri Ki Prinzgo Sikh Sachitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shek Meetika Radha Vasudi Gaura Bhakta Ki Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Jama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Sri Vrindavan Dham Ki Navadvi Patmai Puranam Ki Gangamai Ki Jamunamai Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Tulsi Devi Ki Hari Nam Sankirtan Ki Hari Mridanga Ki Sri Sri Radha Dhamodhara Ki Sri Sri Radha Gopinath Ki Jai Samaveda Bhaktavrinda Ki Glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna Glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna Glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna Glories to Sri Guru Sri Gauranga Namo Vishnupadaya Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Guruvani Vachani Nirvishesha Sunyava Vasijati Sardarine
Radha. Prabhu, who is maintaining this sound system?
You want?
No. Can I? Radha.
Namaste Namaste Narasimhaya Namaste Narasimhaya Pralada Lada Ayaneya Yirya Kashi Purabhakshaya Shilatam Tam Valaye Shilatam Ikomisi Aparatomisi Purnajisa Aparatomisi Yato Yato Yamutatomisi Bhajiranissimo Bhajiranissimo
Maharaj.
Dalita Hiranyakasipu Tanu Brinam Keshapatrita Harari Rupa Jaya Jagadish Hare Jaya Jagadish Hare Jagadish Hare Shapatrita Harari Rupa Jaya Jagadish Hare Jaya Jagadish Hare Jaya Jagadish Hare Shapatrita Harari Rupa Jaya Jagadish Hare Jaya Jagadish Hare Jaya Jagadish Lakshmi Narasimhadev Ki with the arms up in the air Ki. Wiggle your hands a little bit. Take them down here. Krishna. Okay. Vidya need a little intro? Thanks, Prabhu.
Maharaj, can you put this chair over there so that you can see everyone?
How about over here? Just
Okay.
in the middle.
Okay, Maharaj.
Just right about there.
I'll just make sure they're
for the special program in the holy month of Kartik. Kartik month, also called the Dhamodhara month, and is the best, the purest of the purities and most glorious of all months. Kartik month is particularly dear to Lord Krishna. This month is full of Bhakta Vatsala. Any vrata performed during this month, even the smallest, will yield a huge results. We started the program with Sandhya Aarti. That was led by Madhav Sangvini Mataji. You can see him here. Performed the Aarti as a Pujari. And our next part of the program is going to be a discourse by our special guest speaker. Shortly, I will introduce the Maharaj with all of you. But before that, I can give you a snapshot of today's program. So after the discourse, we will get the opportunity to offer ghee lamps to Lord Damodar and hear the melodies of Kirtan by our special guest today, Ajamil Prabhu. His Grace Ajamil Prabhu, I should say. Now coming back to introduction to our guest speaker, His Grace Bhakti Maharaj Swami Maharaj. Today we are all have you here, fortunate Maharaj to have you here, and thank you for accepting our invitation and coming here on this for a special program. Many of you already know about the Maharaj and his glories, but some of you who don't know, I will introduce about Maharaj. Maharaj was born in 1952, and his major interaction with Hare Krishna devotee was in Toronto, at the college campus where he started the fine arts. Later, he was initiated by Srila Prabhupada in 1973, and in 1982, Maharaj accepted the sannyas. Bhakti Maharaj Swami Maharaj has served ISKCON at various capacities as a Sankirtan leader, director of the devotional plays, and those who got a chance to go to Rath Yatra, there you can get the opportunity to see Maharaj plays. And Maharaj is also serving has served as a temple president of ISKCON Toronto, and presently he serves as a GBC of Canada and Miami. He is an instructor of Bhakti Yoga, Mantra meditation, Kirtan and interactive dance. He achieved the remarkable feat of walking across Canada, not one time or two times. It's three and it's four times now. I think he'll get a big round of applause for that. He has completed 4 times walking along Canada.
across Canada.
Across Canada.
East to west.
Detailed, and this is detailed in the National Film Board of Canada documentary, The Longest Road. His pedestrian pastime includes the trekking across the Ireland, the Fiji Islands, Mauritius, Trinidad, Guyana and Israel. Please welcome with the great enthusiasm His Bhakti Maharaj Swami Maharaj by reciting 3 times Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you very much. We'll need to stand that. Yeah. Bring that over. Hare Krishna, thank you for coming. I was wondering if you could just face this way, okay? Otherwise, you have to do some kind of an owl thing. Like what happened to the drummers? Child. So I'm going to choose one story from the book Krishna, written by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is the founder Acharya of our movement, the Hare Krishna movement. He came to the West in 1965, spent about 11 years with us, and established his international society, and then Krishna decided to take him back in 1977. Okay, so I'll need your help with this, okay? I was in another household in Ottawa the other day, and We went through this story. Okay, I need your participation. Once upon a time, seeing that her maidservant was engaged in different household duties, Mother Yashoda personally took charge of churning butter. And while she churned butter, she sang the child good pastimes of and enjoyed thinking of her son. The end of her sari was tightly wrapped while she churned, and on account of her intense love for her son, milk automatically dripped, which moved as she labored very hard churning with 2 hands. The bangles and bracelets on her hands tinkled as they touched each other, and her earrings shook. There were drops of perspiration on her face, and the flour which was on her head scattered here and there. Before this picturesque sight, Lord Krishna appeared as a child. He felt hungry, and to increase his mother's love, he wanted her to stop churning. He indicated that her first business was to let him drink, and then she could churn butter later. Mother Yashoda took her son on her lap and fed him, and while Krishna was sucking the milk, she was smiling, enjoying the beauty of her child's face. Suddenly, the milk which was on the stove began to boil over. Just to stop the milk from spilling, Mother Yashoda at once put Krishna aside and went to the stove. Left in that state by his mother, Krishna became very angry, and his lips and eyes became red in fury. Rhymes with sage. Rage, yes. He pressed his teeth and lips, and taking up a piece of stone, he immediately broke the butter pot. He took butter out of it, and with false tears in his eyes, he began to eat the butter in a secluded place. In the meantime, Mother Yashoda returned to the churning place after setting the overflowing milk pan in it's a courtroom. Yeah, put it in order. Okay, great. Let's see. She smiled and she thought, the child is very clever. After breaking the pot, he has left this place, fearing punishment. After she sought all over, she found her son sitting on a big wooden grinding mortar, which was kept upside down. He was taking from a pot which was hanging from the ceiling on a swing, and he was feeding it to the monkeys. She saw Krishna looking this way and that way in fear of her because he was conscious of his naughty behavior. After seeing her son so engaged, she very silently approached him from behind. Krishna, however, saw her coming toward him, silently approached him from behind. She saw her coming toward him with a stick in her hand. Yeah. And he immediately got down from the grinding mortar and began to flee in fear. Yes. Mother Yashoda chased him to all corners, trying to capture the Supreme Lord, who is never approached even by the meditations of the great yogis. In other words, the Supreme Lord Krishna, who was never caught by the yogis and speculators, was playing just like a little child for such a great devotee as Mother Yashoda. Mother Yashoda, however, could not easily catch the fast-running child because of her thin waist and heavy body. Still, she tried to follow him as fast as possible. Her hair
Opened.
Waving.
loosened, not too bad, and the flowers in her hair fell to the ground. Although she was tired, she somehow reached her naughty child and captured him. When he was caught, Krishna was almost on the point of he smeared his hands over his eyes, which were anointed with black eye cosmetics. Kajal, right? The child saw his mother's face while she stood over it, and his eyes became restless from fear. Mother Yashoda could understand that Krishna was unnecessarily afraid, and for his benefit, she wanted to allay his fears. Being the topmost well-wisher of her child, Mother Yashoda thought, if the child is too fearful of me, I don't know what will happen to him. Mother Yashoda then threw away her in order to punish him. She thought to bind his hands with some ropes. She did not know it, but it was actually impossible for her to bind the Supreme Lord. Mother Yashoda was thinking that Krishna was her tiny child. She did not know that the child had no limitations. There is no inside or outside of him, nor beginning or end. He is unlimited and all-pervading. Indeed, he is himself the whole cosmic manifestation. Still, Mother Yashoda was thinking of Krishna as her child. Although he is beyond the reach of all senses, she endeavored to bind him to a wooden grinding mortar. But when she tried to bind him, she found that the rope she was using was too short, by 2 inches. She gathered more ropes from the house and added to it. But still, she found the same shortage. In this way, she connected all the ropes available at home. But when the final knot was added, she saw that the rope was still 2 inches too short. Mother Yashoda was smiling, but she was astonished. How was it happening? In attempting to bind her son, she became tired. She was perspiring, and the garland on her head fell down. Then Lord Krishna appreciated the hard labor of his mother, and being compassionate upon her, he agreed to be bound up by the ropes. Krishna, playing as a human child in the house of Mother Yashoda, was performing his own selected pastimes. Of course, no one can control the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The pure devotee surrenders himself unto the lotus feet of the Lord, who may either protect or vanquish the devotee. But for his part, the devotee never forgets his own position of surrender. Similarly, the Lord also feels transcendental pleasure by submitting himself to the protection of the devotee. This was exemplified by Krishna's surrender unto his mother, Yashoda. We have 2 more paragraphs. Krishna is the supreme bestower of all kinds of liberation to his devotees. But the benediction which was bestowed upon Mother Yashoda was never experienced even by Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva, or even the goddess of fortune. The Supreme Lord, who is known as the son of Yashoda, and Nanda Maharaj, is never so completely known to the yogis and speculators. But he is easily available to his devotees. Nor is he appreciated as the supreme reservoir of all pleasure by the yogis and speculators. After binding her son, Mother Yashoda engaged herself in household affairs. At that
Time.
bound up to the wooden mortar, Krishna could see a pair of trees before him, which were known as Arjun trees. The great reservoir of pleasure, Lord Sri Krishna, thus thought to himself, Mother Yashoda, first of all, left without feeding me sufficient milk, and therefore I broke the pot of yogurt and distributed the stock butter in charity to the monkeys. Now she has bound me up to a wooden mortar, so I shall do something more mischievous than before. And thus he thought of pulling down the two very tall Arjun trees. There's a history behind the pair of Arjun trees. In their previous lives, the trees were born as the human sons of Kuvera, and their names were Nalakuvara and Manigriva. Fortunately, they came within the vision of the Lord. In their previous lives, they were cursed by the great sage Narada in or to receive the highest benediction of seeing Lord Krishna. This benediction curse was bestowed upon them because of their forgetfulness due to intoxication. This story will be narrated in the next chapter. So this is a cliffhanger. Stay tuned. Hare Krishna. Thank you for listening. Hare Krishna. So here we have a situation where Krishna, who takes birth from time to time, that's very well clearly outlined in the Gita. Yada yada hidaram shiklani yadavati paraka. When there's trouble in the world, he comes, he descends to try to help straighten things out. He comes to establish dharma. He also comes to give pleasure to the devotees. And he also does something about the asuras, the people who are not so inclined devotionally, but who are just pain in the neck. Have you ever met people like that? Pain in the neck, pain in the ASS, pain in this, that, you know. You meet people like that, they're at work. Sometimes they're in the family. And it's also you. You are also a pain in the neck for others, right? You're probably the worst rascal of all. So Krishna decides to come here to try to resolve some of the problems and to keep peace, shanti or swasti. He establishes dharma. That's what he does. However, when he's a child, we don't think he comes across as some order giver, someone who's come to straighten out the mess. No, it seems like Krishna's the one that's making the mess. And we excuse him because as a child, like you were one once, right? You did naughty things, I'll check with your folks. And you did some antics. You climbed the walls and you did all kinds of things, I'm sure. And, they were charmed, they were delighted, so they're excused, Krishna's excused for these things. But in the whole episode of this churning of butter and so on, and Krishna doing some naughty things, Mother Yashoda was showing a very strong human side. She was saying, if my little child is fearful right now, if he's traumatized, and I'm the perpetrator of this traumatizing, then he'll be psychologically scarred. She was thinking like that. We don't think like that. That would be, in village life, it's not like that. Parents just scold their kids, and that's it. But nowadays, if you lay a hand like, you might go to prison. And you'll be a child abuser or something like that. It's a little bit extreme, the way it is right now. Out of love for her son, she was just thinking, let me chastise him. So it happened with a stick, and then he demonstrated his fear, said, okay, the stick has got to go. But I'm going to get a rope. The rope will be, it'll be a stick that you can bend. And then she got frustrated, as we heard, because by some mystical, let's say, experience, she was not able to, tie that knot properly. And some people would consider that child abuse too, tying up your child in the backyard. They say that this is too horrible. She's a child abuser. She needs counseling and stuff. Yeah, but she was definitely thinking about, she was sensitive and, if he's thinking like this now, what kind of a psycho will my child be in the future? So she's become sensitive by this whole ordeal. But Krishna has something up his sleeve, and that is, okay, I did some mischief, I'm going to do something even more. I'm going to add a number 2 and a number 3 and a 4, and I'm just going to keep going until I die. Until Krishna leaves. He never dies. We understand that. He may vanish, he may leave this world. This is the month when we remember Krishna as a child. It's a beautiful month for that reason. You can pick and choose which aspect of Krishna's life you like. He grew up with his friends. This is a toddler pastime, right? He went beyond toddlerism, and he had his friends, gopas. He had his female friends too, gopis, and he had the rasa dance, And then he grew up and he decided to leave the countryside. He said, life is a little bland around here. Let me go to the big city. A lot of people then. How many of you came from a little village in India? Okay. And you decided, okay, it's time to go to the big city. TL, woo! Okay. And so much opportunity. Okay. Krishna did go to Mathura, and that was to deal with Kams and other upstarts. And eventually he went to establish his own city, Dwarka, on the western seaboard, the Arabian Sea, and established his own fort there, Dwarka. And Krishna matured, you can say, and he definitely showed a very, very, let's say, well-rounded personality. He demonstrated that. When he's speaking Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, which is really a message for everybody, we know that he's speaking like a scholar, like a psychologist, and one who understands the world, and speaking with wisdom. Wisdom meaning knowing reality. Metaphysics. Metaphysics means to touch reality, to understand reality. In the Bhagavad Gita, it means to understand 4 ways of life. I'll say 4. Krishna talks about 3, usually Sattvagun, Rajagun, Tamagun. But then there's another one, Vishuddha Sattvagun, which means it's transcendence. Other words are given for that. Brahmabhuta, Bhutabhava, different Brahmabhuyaya. There's Nirvana, not to be mistaken for that. What is it, Kurt Cobain music? Nothing to do with that stuff. It's true liberation, true freedom from this world. And ultimate key word for us, what Krishna speaks about and uses over and over again in the Gita, is the word called bhakti, devotion. And that's what Krishna consciousness is all about. Establishing bhakti, devotion, love for the divine. So everybody's in love with something. We're in love with things, We go wild on the weekend, let's go to Costco. I love all these things. They're a good buy, and you spend a lot of money, and then you go back feeling, oh my God, what did I get myself into? I worked so hard just to buy all these extra things. So we're in love. We're in love with our children. We're in love with each other. We're in love maybe with our community, and all. Love is a common ground principle for everybody. But in the purest form, love has to do with God, has to do with Krishna. And that's what Krishna teaches in the Gita, about a pure love. Because the Gita is reserved for that. There's all kinds of books on romance out there. I've never read one. Not interested. Will not be. Am not now. I wasn't in the past. At least in this life. There's all kinds of books. But people, Bollywood really plays it up, butters it up, And it's usually the same story, this mean uncle or nasty aunt, mother-in-law, she gets crawls into your skin, and then a boy and girl meet, and sometimes it's a take on Romeo and Juliet. Boy comes from poor family, girl's filthy rich, and they get together and they love each other, and the whole world can fall apart as far as they're concerned, as long as their love is kept intact. Then the story ends, with some love. But usually if you do chapter 2, part 2, the reality it kicks in, and it's a little bit different, In the beginning there's all this, puppy love, somebody's own, and then after a while everything gets very bland. It's the same old, and then if one is mature, one will live with it, and then one will actually start real love by saying, okay, this is the way it is. I'm out of my youthhood period. I'm now into the service mood. I'm into sacrifice. I'm into giving. This is where bhakti starts. So this is what Srila Prabhupada came to give us, is bhakti. This is what Krishna's come to give us. And I think most of you have seen the picture of Prabhupada. I hope I'm not going to be embarrassed. He's right there. And we have pictures of him, with the Murtis there. And he's the founder Acharya of the Hare Krishna movement. And he made Krishna popular all over the world and made Krishna a household word. Okay, here's something you're going to really like. Everyone has heard of the Beatles, right? The biggest rock band ever in the history of the world. Okay, this is George Harrison. Just to give you a little bit of stuff. This is good. Here he opens up. He wrote the introduction. And even paid for this. The printing. Paid for this printing. So here he opens up. Here's the first line. Everybody is looking for Krishna. Wow. Some don't realize that they are, but they are. Krishna is God, the source of all that exists, the cause of all that is, was, or ever will be. As God is unlimited, he has many names. Allah, Buddha, Jehovah, Brahma, all are Krishna, all are one. Krishna is not abstract. God is not abstract. He has both the impersonal and personal aspects to his personality, which is supreme, eternal, blissful, and full of knowledge. And it goes on. So finally, he ends up with this beautiful preface, and he says, Swami Bhaktivedanta is, as his title says, a bhakti yogi following the path of devotion. By serving God through each thought, word, and deed, and by chanting his holy names, the devotee quickly develops God consciousness. By chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, one inevitably arrives at Krishna consciousness. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. You can tell he's English, right? He mentions about pudding. I request that you take advantage of this book, Krishna, and enter into its understanding. I also request that you make an appointment to meet your God now through the self-liberating process of yoga, union, and give peace a chance. All you need is love, in brackets, Krishna, Haribol, George Harrison, the 31st of the month of March in 1970. I know that sounds ancient. How many people were here at that time? Were you around? You were around. So we're two ancients. Anybody else? Sati, when were you born?
Similar.
When?
When? 99, 59.
59?
He was there too.
Yeah, you're ancient. You're ancient. Okay. Anyways, what George has to say here is for all time. Thank you for listening. We're going to go on to the next part of our program. And if you have any questions, we can deal with that a little bit later on. All right?
You want to take the questions now or later?
It's up to you.
I'm fine, Maharaj. If any devotee has got any question regarding the today's class or in general, we have 5 minutes, you can ask Maharaj anything.
Whoever asks the first question, we'll get this garland.
It's a blessing from Maharaj.
Yeah.
We already have.
Actually,
You take mic.
This room isn't that big. You could just ask the question. We don't need the microphone.
My question is not a good question.
Okay, that's
It is
good.
a very, very bad question.
Okay, we like challenges. I'll
No,
take it
it is
on.
not a challenge. It is a challenge to me because why we worship God?
Why do we worship God? Well, different ways to answer it is one can say it's natural because we are very minute, we're very small by nature. Strip ourselves of our bodies and what's left, maybe the mind, intelligence, ego, and then strip that down, you've got yourself. What is the self? It's the Atma. We're tiny, 1/10,000th the size, the tip of a hair. So even if you accept that this human body is the self, sometimes we call this Atma, then you look in the face of the world. It's big. Against a tree or a group of trees, I'm just a little firefly. You know, against the sky, against all the planets, the galaxies, and what that should do is, you know, looking at my modest self, it puts me naturally into a position to at least adore all that is around me. And sometimes we call that worship. You're reverential to the elements, you know, because you're small and it is very big. Right? It's just like when you were a kid and you look up to your parent and wow, they're so big and they're so strong and they can do so many things. So there's a tendency to at least appreciate and at least to adore and have reverence towards. So sometimes we call that worship. We call that worship. So, and the worship is to worship someone, the Supreme Lord, direct our attention there. It serves to purify us. On the other hand, if we don't worship the Supreme Lord, our tendency is to put all your attention to yourself, to the body, you know, which will disappoint you in the end. So we don't have to go overboard in our adoration for the body, especially when we're young and looking super good, right? You know, but when this all starts to fade, then and when the luster is gone, then what do I have left? You know. So if we can concentrate on the Supreme Krishna, who is Navayovanam, ever youthful, has no limitations, then this is just a natural position to take. I'm not in control. It's God who's in control. I'm not in charge. It's God who's in charge. So for that we can, let's say, adore nature, let's say. And nature is also under some kind of control. So that's why we worship, meditate. Manmana bhavamad bhakto majjati mam namaskuru. Mam evashasi satyamti parati jane priyosine. So that means that we adore Krishna, we meditate on Him, we submit to Him, surrender to Him, because it's a natural thing to do. And if we resist submitting to the world, when the death knell comes, we have to do it by force anyways. Nature's telling us, you get down, get in that box, or whatever. Get into that pile of wood, and we're going to burn you up. Okay, so that is true admission that I am somewhat insignificant. However, I become significant when I honor the great. So I'm small, God is great. Let us worship the great. And the beautiful thing about bhakti is that Krishna, who is great, he'll say, oh, here's somebody who's such a sweetie pie. And I will worship that person myself. So it's all about praise. It's all about appreciating, which we don't do enough in this world. Worship means to appreciate. That's really, is that okay?
is fine to me.
Okay, for now.
Yes, but it has an associated question. Reason is that like the way you told, and I love because like Kirtan, when it was happening here, I was feeling a different kind of feeling. Like it was feeling like it should not end.
Yes, it should.
It was like it should not end, and I was getting something like I am a very small. What other things I am doing? I am not doing this one. I feel that kind of love is bhakti.
Right.
But like few people says like fear is bhakti. Like with the fear, if you have to do something, like few people says only like why God says like other people like they say no, you have to 5 times, you have to sit this way, that way, those ways. I am not liking that one. That
Well,
is why.
some people approach religion in the mode of fear, you know, and that's what gets some people started. At least they're getting started. It's like you're trying to get a matchbox, and it's just not lighting. But after it does come, oh great, now it's really starts to get inflamed. So it's like that. Some people might have to approach God with that a little bit of a fear factor. But the better approach is, as Krishna states, he says, love me, you know, and as I love you, become my devotee, you know, offer your homage unto me, etc., etc. That's the approach of love.
That I like.
I like it too, that's 2 of us.
But if someone says like other, like I'm not going particularly to particular religion or anything.
Yes.
Like few people like this, say, no, I am the superior.
Yeah, if
and
you don't
worship-
surrender to me, then the flames will come.
Yes.
Or from hell,
Yes.
or the thunder and lightning will come
Then
and
I
strike you dead.
Yes. Then I start thinking, what is this kind of God? He says that you
Yeah.
worship me. It means he is very greedy that he requires that you worship me, otherwise I will destroy you.
Yeah, but some people are not so inclined to just love. Come on, I want to be loved. So therefore, one approach is God does come across as a little bit of a dictator for some people, and says, oh yeah, okay, all right, fine. At least they're getting started on the path. So for some people it's necessary. You look at chapter 17 of Bhagavad Gita, it's talking about divisions of faith and how you approach spirituality in one of 3 gunas. Sattva-gun, Rajagun, Tamagun. So Sattva-gun is more about love. Rajagun is, I'll make a bargain with you, God, you know. You give me a nice wife, I'll do all these nice things for you, and things like that. Or, you know, give me a good car and a good job and all these things. They bargain with God. That's like Rajas. And then there's another form of, you know, of dealing with God, which is more in the Tamagun, very destructive. And I don't need to get into the details of that one. But you look at, there's different approaches. Not everyone's going to be the same. I think most people here appreciate approaching God through love. Am I right?
Yes, Maharaj.
How many people are for love? How many people are for fear? Okay.
And I was just adding, your point was excellent. You know, the question was that why we should worship God. The children always worshipping their parents. Why should worship parents for? The same question is okay.
Yeah. There's a tendency to adore someone, to go to someone who has charisma. So it starts with their parents.
Parents, yeah.
And then oftentimes, you know, when you get to be a teenager, then it's the Bollywood people, or it's a sports figure, you know. It's usually like that. You know? Or your little kid is, I want to be a fire, you know, and chief, I think like that, those kind of things. Yep. Any other questions? Yes.
What's the difference between Lord
I'm going to
Krishna?
stick to my bargain.
Oh, yes, please.
Prabhuji?
You're getting blessing.
All right.
Between Lord Vishnu and Lord Krishna,
Yes.
are they same or they're
Yeah,
different?
they're one, and they're also different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Halloween's coming around the corner. Okay, so God will take on different, you know, attire. He'll go to his wardrobe, you know? And so we do that too. Masquerade parties and so on like that. And maybe you're doing something for the kids. You know, you have some kids. Okay, coming, I'm sure. Okay, and so with the kids, and you're a horsey, you know, like dads are good with being horsey back ride, you know. Or then you can turn into a monster, you know. You're still dad, but you are all these other things too.
Right.
So God is one, but God takes on various images. In the Krishna component, Krishna is the charmer. Krishna is the endearing element of God. Vishnu is the one that's given reverence. Okay, I gotta be serious here, but when it's Krishna, you know, it's a little bit of a different rasa, isn't it? It's a different rasa. So, if we look at the Gita very carefully, and we study the books like Bhagavatam, we understand Krishna was there, always there. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. And then after him comes many other avatars.
Yes.
So, sometimes people get a little hung up, oh, it should be Vishnu, because it seemed like he was there first. But no, not actually. You know, we study it in deeper details.
Right, because that's what I have, whatever I know in my limited knowledge. Krishna is an avatar of Vishnu. So Vishnu was always there, and Krishna came as an avatar.
Therefore, we study Veda Vyasa's text. So Srila Vyasadeva is the one who puts out the information in the beginning. And yes, he may have given some notion that Vishnu is there and then Krishna was born from him. But then, if you go deeper, after Veda Vyasa got blessed by his guru, Narada Muni, then he got more fine-tuned. He found, okay, well, it's Krishna who's the source of all the avatars. Krishna's to Bhagavan Swayam. So therefore we study the Bhagavata, Bhagavad Purana, to know the fine, if you want to split hairs, then that's how you do it. You read the Shastra. And it's good to know. But really it's one and different. Krishna's there, Balaram's there. Balaram's also God. But he's got a light complexion. Krishna's darker. And Balaram appeared to be there first. And, so many different facets to God. Which is what some, like in the religions of the desert, you know, the Middle East, there's just a one God factor. But then you can challenge them. Well, God appeared as a pillar of light. God appeared as a burning bush. God appeared as a young man. So if you really want to split hairs with people, so God has come in different features. I'm going to sneeze, if you don't mind. Maybe I'm not. But I think I'm going to. Keshav, throw some wind in my face, maybe it'll happen. I think I'll spare myself. I think we should go on with the rest of the program, because some of us have to get up very early in the morning.
Great. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you, Maharaj, for a very, very interactive class and very, very informative class. I hope everyone enjoyed it. And Maharaj, this time there are many friends of mine, they are first time coming to my place, and I know that you can give the answers to their questions, which I cannot answer it. We are moving forward to the next part of the program. We are going to have a Deep Dan. Deep Dan is the Maharaj narrated the story, pastime of Krishna, and we have a deity of Jashoda Dhamodhara over here. And in the holy month of Kartik, it's said that if we offer Deepak, the ghee Deepak to the Krishna, is very, very auspicious. It can burn many of our sins. And we are going to offer the lamps. We'll give lamps to everyone. Probably, maybe each husband and wife will get one lamp and the kids can get one lamp. Because lamps are limited. And Maharaj will tell us how to offer the lamps. And beside that one, Maharaj will sing a special prayers called Dhamodhara. I'll hand over the lyrics to everyone. And Maharaj is going to sing. And after Maharaj's Dhamodhara prayers, I think Ajamil Prabhu is going to lead the Kirtan. Right, Maharaj?
Yeah, but
Is this the plan?
Yeah, what I'll do is, we'll all sing together this song.
Okay.
And then when it comes to Hare Krishna, Ajamil can take over with the Kirtan. And that's when we do
the lamp. Yeah, fine, Maharaj. That's
so
fine.
This way we'll focus on the song. Okay?
Great.
And then we get up one by one, okay?
Okay, that's a good plan,
Is
Maharaj.
that okay?
Thank you, Maharaj. I'll distribute the papers to everyone.
And what I was going to suggest, when you do wave the flames towards the deities, don't stay there forever. You know, let the next person come in. Just I do 3 circles around the deities, Radha and Krishna, and then move on. You know, and otherwise, you just feel like saying,
If
"God
someone
have mercy on
did
me."
not find the papers, I have extra papers with me.
Read it in the story that we just gave you. Are we ready there, Ajani?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Jaya Radha Dhamodhara Radha Jaya Okay, thank you. We're going to start. Namam Ishvaram Satchidananda Rupam. We're off to the wrong start. I said before, we're going to do it line by line. I sing the line, then you repeat it. Okay? Just if you follow it first. Namam Ishvaram Satchidananda Rupam.
Namamishwaram Satchidananda Rupam
Lasatkundalam Gokule Brajaman Yashoda Biyo Lukalata Vamanam Param Vishna Madhyanta Todutya Bodhya Puram Tamura Nitra Yugmam Brajantam Param Bocha Yugmina Shatam Kanitram Mosa Sakamba Tridikam Kakanta Sita Kayam Dhamata Rambati Iti Vriksalila Pir Ananda Kunde Svato Sandipajanatam Akhyapayantam Tadishu Tadishu Bhaktayal Chitatvam Puna Prema Tastam Shata Vrikirande Varam Deva Moksham Namoksham Padima Nachayam Vaniham Parishadariya Rapiram Deva Purnata Gopala Balam Sadani Mahashikir Rastam Kimandari Piram Timukham Mojam Natyanta Nilaya Avritam Kundalai Sita Ratasya Guru. Namo Deva Dhamodhara Namanta Vishnu. Namo Deva Dhamodhara Prasida Prabodhita Jalati Madhya. Kripa Drishti Vishyati Dinam Matanu. Kripa Drishti Vishyati Dinam Matanu. Vinani Jamatam Idakshi Presya. Kuvaratma Jovada Nityai Vayabha. Jayamachi Kao Bhakti Vajaka Paucha. Tata Prima Bhakti Swakame Prayacha. Namo Shikra Homisti Dhamodhara. Namaste Studam Nispu Radipti Dhamne. Vatiyodarayata Vishwasyata. Namo Radhikaya Vatiya Priyaya. Namo Radhikaya Vatiya Priyaya. Namo Mangalaya Devaya. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Thank you very much. Touch of you. Sing.
Give the girls, give the water.
Hare Rama, bolo Baba. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyo Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone for participating. Thank you very much. It's hard.
Thank you, Javi Prabhu. Now, the next part of the program is going to be prasadam. There are two things. Those who has not taken the darshan, they can come forward. For those who want to take a picture, they can come forward. They can do it now. And the prasadam will be served in the basement. But you can bring your plates upstairs. If you find a place downstairs, you can sit downstairs. Otherwise, you can come upstairs. Hare Krishna.
You mentioned the child to bring her back up.
Bella applicant. Bella applicant.
Yeah, sure. Sundays, let's see.
He said he's going to meditate sometime on Monday, March. And get back when I'm pretty sure.
This is now not done.